Hello and good evening to you. As we've been hearing, the government has set out major changes to the system of support for children with special educational needs and disabilities, or SEND. Here in London, the number of pupils currently receiving it has increased by nearly a third in a decade. Under the new proposals, education care plans will be reserved for the most complex SEND cases by 2035. Some parents and teachers have told us they broadly welcome the changes. Bhavani Vadi has been speaking to them.
Inclusion is involvement and empowerment where the inherent worth and dignity of all...
This is a specialist base for pupils with autism and complex needs. Teaching is shaped around how they learn. And next door, a mainstream lesson where children with special educational needs and disabilities learn alongside their peers.
I feel like it gives me a choice and helps me in the sense of some lessons I find harder to do. Like, for example, I'm quite good at English, so I might find it easier to do that with people in the classroom, whereas I use the base of things that I might need extra help with because the teachers are quite supportive and help me with it.
So I get some support a lot in my classes and my lessons because I found that really helpful.
At Ackland Burley School in Camden, this inclusive approach is already in place. And today, the government has announced £4 billion to help more schools follow this model.
What we can see in this school is when inclusion works really well, it benefits SEND students and it benefits non-SEND students. So with that additional funding put in place with the additional emphasis on training in particular, because integral to any inclusion model is getting the training right and making sure the staff are comfortable in meeting the needs of a varying student body.
For many London families, getting the right support has been an uphill struggle. We've previously spoken to Nicola, mum to 10-year-old Alistair, who's autistic and has ADHD. He has an education, health and care plan, or an EHCP, a legally binding document that sets out the support he must receive. Under the government reforms, EHCPs would, by 2035, be reserved for only the most complex cases.
So I do think it's positive that all schools should be inclusive and have resource bases and have areas for children who are coping in the mainstream, but only just, so they've got places to go. I'm concerned about the EHCPs only being issued to the most complex cases, because I think in my experience and opinion, that's what happens now. It's not easy to get an EHCP.
BBC London analysis recently found that the number of pupils requiring special educational needs support in schools has reached record numbers in the capital, increasing by a third over the last decade. And there are concerns that the new funding announced today won't meet those growing needs.
It looks like the government has responded to concerns expressed by many parents about the risk of weakening children and young people's legal rights before improvements have been made in making mainstream schools more inclusive. The most important thing to emphasise is that the law hasn't changed. This doesn't change anything for children and young people who are receiving support now.
Ministers call it a radical reform, but will it help more children in the capital with additional needs reach their full potential? Bhavani Vadi, BBC London.
Well, Assad is here with more on this. Hi, Assad. £4 billion of extra government money sounds like a lot when councils are already stretched.
Yeah, and that was a point put to the Department of Education after they made the announcement today, because there was concern that the money might not get to the children who need it most, the special education need and disabled children. But the Department of Education, they didn't beat about the bush with this one. They said the money is ring-fence and so it cannot be spent in any other area by any school or local authority. And yeah, it is a lot of money, but then we've got to remember, as we heard in Bhavani's report, the number of SEND pupils has escalated hugely over the past 10 years, around about 250,000 in London alone. So is the money enough? Well, it depends who you speak to. There are some schools, there are some unions who say, well, no, because it will only pay for about 1 extra teaching assistant in every primary school, 2 extra teaching assistants in every secondary school. However, there is also a lot of support from parents of SEND pupils, from schools as well. David Hatchett, the CEO of Anthem Schools Trust, which is schools across London and Thames Valley, he says that the extra money can be used to train existing teachers in the requirements of SEND pupils. He says it's long overdue, and he says it's the most effective way of educating SEND pupils.
Now, as we've said, you know, the number of SEND pupils has risen over the last decade. So how will mainstream schools be able to support both SEND pupils as well as mainstream pupils at the same time?
Well, experts say it can be done. We've got to remember most SEND pupils across London, across the country, are actually already in mainstream school and mainstream classes, because they say it's the most effective way of teaching these children. But what they want is for the money to be used to train teachers so they can effectively incorporate SEND pupils within their regular classes as well. However, pupils identified with the greatest needs, we're told that they will still be able to get individual support and extra support which is needed. Georgia Gould, who's the Education Minister, interestingly, she's a Londoner, an MP for Maida Vale and Queen's Park as well, born and raised London and knows everything about schools here. She says that protections are in place to give SEND pupils more support. She insists it is not about reducing the number of special needs children, but it's about giving them help. We won't actually know whether this works or not until it's in place. It will only apply to children, though, below Year 3, that's around the 6 or 7 age mark.
OK, Asad, thanks very much for that. You're watching BBC London. Plenty more to come tonight, including...
So we've had Christian Bale abseiling down a building, Idris Elba blowing one up and Taylor Swift at the Whitgift. Why is Croydon so hot as a film location? And what do the locals think of it?
An investigation is underway after an overnight fire ripped through a disused church in West London. Around 70 firefighters tackled the blaze in Southall, which took around 3 hours to get under control. Aisha Baksh has more.
Just off Southall's main thoroughfare in West London, a disused church is on fire. The London Fire Brigade said most of the building had been caught alight, but thankfully there were no injuries. In its heyday, the King's Hall Methodist Church hosted services in both English and South Asian languages, but has not seen worshippers for years. It took several hours for the fire to be put out, and on Monday morning, the fire brigade was still at the scene. Well, firefighters from the London Fire Brigade have now finished damping down. The main road through Southall has reopened. However, this side street near the local college remains closed. The LFB also said the roof and top floors collapsed in the fire, but the facade and rotunda of this historic building built in Edwardian times were saved from damage. It's one of 7 Methodist churches in the local area, and the Ealing Trinity Circuit Office said they were grateful to the police and fire services for preventing further damage. The fire brigade confirmed the building has now been declared structurally unsafe by the local authority, but there is no risk to surrounding properties. The cause of the fire is being investigated. Aisha Baksh, BBC London.
A look now at some of the day's other news stories. A mother and father have been charged with the murder of their 3-month-old son after emergency services were called to their home on Kingsway in North Finchley in January. The child, referred to by the Metropolitan Police as Baby A, died in hospital on the 17th of February. Owners of homes on the Teviot estate in Poplar could be forced to sell them to Tower Hamlets Council if they refuse to move. Councillors have agreed that the Town Hall can use its powers to buy the homes so that the estate's regeneration can go ahead. The Health Secretary has led tributes after the death of the founder of a leading HIV charity. Martin Butler co-founded the Terence Higgins Trust in London in 1982 after the death of his friend Terry, who was the first named person to die from an AIDS-related illness in the UK. And London Overground users are being urged to plan ahead this week if they use the Windrush line due to a strike by signallers and telecom staff. The RMT union says its members will walk out on Thursday for 24 hours in a dispute over pay and conditions. We know that how to solve the housing crisis is one of the biggest challenges facing us here in the capital. Now, a group of businesses, councils and charities is calling on the government to launch a national strategy to help use empty properties. It comes as the country is seeing record levels of people living in temporary accommodation and long waits for social housing. Our Work and Money correspondent Megan Owen reports from Hackney.
On the de Beauvoir estate in Hackney, remnants of squatters who occupied some of the 49 flats which have been empty here for at least 2 years. The council boarded up the homes after reports of antisocial behaviour. These photos taken by residents last year show the situation at its worst. Knives, drug paraphernalia and blood-stained tissues. They say at one point a fire was even started in one of the corridors.
It was just strange being in our building yet feeling like we were so close to danger.
Sherry has lived here for 12 years and says the once vibrant and happy estate has fallen into disrepair.
I've seen strange people that are not a part of the community in our lifts, drunk, rough sleepers underneath fire exit stairs, antisocial behaviour, dogs barking all hours of the day, and just very shady characters coming into our building.
Amid record numbers of people living in temporary accommodation with long waits for social housing, several leaders in the housing sector want empty homes to be brought back into use, and fast. Organisations including The Big Issue, Shelter, Women's Aid and Residents have sent a letter to the Housing Minister, seen by the BBC, calling for a national strategy, as more than 1 million properties in England stand unoccupied and 160,000 of those in London. They want to see things including rewards for empty homes interventions and more council enforcement powers.
It's a part of the toolkit that you need to face the problems of homelessness, housing, affordable housing. It is also about taking pressure off the marketplace. I think every empty home is a problem for all of us.
And it's a problem faced by councils across the capital, according to the chair of the London Assembly Housing Committee, also standing in the May elections as a Green candidate.
There's huge waiting lists for council properties, and councils under a lot of pressure with their housing revenue account to make sure that they're doing those repairs and bringing those homes back into use. We do know that there is a lot of estates, there's 137 estates marked up for regeneration, so it's likely that some of those empty council homes will be as part of those estates, with people not really knowing what's happening in their communities.
We're going to build, baby, build to keep this home.
The Housing Secretary Steve Reed has made no secret of his plans to address the country's housing crisis by building 1.5 million new homes. A government spokesperson acknowledged that having empty ones is bad for communities, adding, "We're fixing this as part of our plans to restore the dream of home ownership," and they expect councils to use existing powers to ensure empty homes are brought back into use.
So it's a bit of a hot potato when you contact the council. It's either they pass it on to another department, they tell you someone's going to call you back, you chase them, they stop responding.
When we contacted Hackney Council, it said the empty homes no longer meet today's standards and finance is in place to convert them into 70 modern temporary homes for homeless families, adding Hackney is no different from many other London boroughs in facing a chronic housing supply crisis. Amid calls for more empty homes to be brought into use, even the squatters on this estate appeared to have a message of their own. Rent it. Megan Owen, BBC London.
Now, a man who was using a lift at London Bridge Station has told BBC London how after getting stuck in a lift with his assistance dog, he ended up calling London Fire Brigade to be rescued. Nathan Rollinson, who uses a wheelchair, has been sharing his experience with our reporter, Bryony Williams.
Imagine if you were travelling to London Bridge on the Jubilee line trying to get out and this happened.
Got the lift to come up from the underground Jubilee line here at London Bridge. I got in, the doors closed, I had my assistance dog with me, and next thing I know, we got halfway up and then the lift just stopped and started yo-yoing like a bungee cord. I was like up, down, up, down, up, down, and so I pressed the emergency alarm. They then said, oh, it's going to be a minimum of 2 hours for our lift engineer to come out. So I then was like, okay, I'll call the fire brigade. Fire brigade came out with a normal fire truck, who then said we need to get a rescue truck out. And basically they got all the equipment out and had to manually lower the ropes to get me up and onto the concourse.
Instead of the 2 hours Transport for London said it would take to get to Nathan Rollinson to be rescued in the trapped lift, the London Fire Brigade arrived within 10 minutes. Nathan has complained to TfL and has not heard anything back, but they have responded to BBC London. In a statement, a Transport for London spokesperson says, "We're sorry to hear of Mr Rollinson's experience whilst travelling on our network. While our staff aim to help customers trapped in a lift as quickly as possible, sometimes they need to call specialist engineers or the London Fire Brigade to assist and restore the lift service." There are around 255 lifts on London's tube network in more than 90 stations, and TfL adds it's working hard to install more.
If you do not wish to walk up the stairs, please travel to the next station and continue.
And adds when they do stop working, fix them promptly. But campaigners say it's not enough.
This isn't an isolated incident, and we hear about this all the time. We're really concerned about the very regular outages across the network. Disabled people are really far less likely to make any journeys because of their concerns about accessibility, and stories like this makes it much harder for people to be confident about going out and about.
It's a nightmare. Like, it's not just disabled people, it's not just me. Like, I know elderly people. There was an elderly lady at Southwark this morning. She wanted to go to Waterloo. She got told, no, not possible. She was 98. She's had to walk there.
Well, the transport operator says the lift at Waterloo should be back in service next week. But Nathan Rollinson wants accessibility on public transport to be a basic right and not just a nice to have when it's working properly. Bryony Williams, BBC London.
A quick look at other local stories on BBC News. In Berkshire, a study shows sightings of one of the UK's rarest insects, the green forest hoverfly, have tripled. Windsor Great Park is one of only 2 places it can be found. In Kent, 8-year-old Freddie Lee Gray says filming Lord of the Flies in Malaysia for 3 months was amazing but intense. He plays Percival in the new BBC TV series. And in Surrey, find out more about the work of illustrator William Heath Robinson, who relocated from London to Cranley in 1918. His name even became a national catchphrase. You can find all these stories and much more on the BBC News app, of course. Now, it has been an unforgettable 2 weeks of sporting action, and last night saw the Winter Olympics officially draw to a close with a ceremony yesterday in northern Italy. British athletes landed back into Gatwick Airport this morning to jubilant scenes. Team GB won 5 medals, including 3 golds. Britain has never previously won more than 1 gold at a Winter Games before. And many of the standout stars hail from London and the South East. Our reporter Matt Graveling was there at the airport to meet them.
Just moments after walking through Gatwick Airport's South Terminal, Team GB have come here to this hotel for a little bit of food and drink and relaxation with their nearest and dearest. And among those who came through the airport was the now double gold medal winning skeleton racer, Matt Weston.
I've very much been within the Olympic bubble, and now I'm sort of coming out of it and sort of starting to realise how much of an impact that skeleton and the Winter Olympics has had on the nation. So I'm kind of really excited to see where that goes.
Before taking up the skeleton, Matt Weston actually played rugby and also competed in taekwondo, but it was a talent ID scheme which saw him switch to skeleton. And it was the same for his partner and fellow gold medalist, Tabby Stoker, who before throwing herself down a track, actually was a circus performer.
I specialise in flying trapeze, but they, trained me with acrobatics and lots of other things too, and I absolutely loved it. It gave me such a strong foundation, and I love the movement, the body awareness, and also the ability to handle adrenaline and fear.
In total, Team GB came back from Italy with 5 medals, 3 of them gold, 1 silver and 1 bronze. And another of the gold medalists is Charlotte Banks, who along with her partner, Hugh Nightingale, took the top prize in the mixed snowboard.
We had that aim to go for gold. I mean, we had that medal, and Hugh had ridden so well that I couldn't just let the French go in front, and I also knew that Mickey was behind, so had to give it to the end. But once I made that pass, I was a bit more confident, and I was just like, yeah, we have to bring this one home, really.
So the Winter Olympics over then for another 4 years, but these athletes have inspired a nation, inspired a generation of people to take up their sport, and who knows, they may be competing in the next Winter Olympics in France in 2030. Matt Graveling, BBC London.
Fantastic. Now, 3 words: Taylor Swift Croydon. The global megastar partly filmed her latest 90s-themed rom-com video right here in the Whitgift shopping centre. You can probably just make her out there on the escalators. It follows in the footsteps of Sir Idris Elba and Christian Bale, who've also recently been shooting in the South London borough. So why has it become such a hotspot for filming? Wendy Hurrell has been finding out.
New buildings going up, old ones standing derelict, others somewhere in between. Why is Croydon such an attractive film location? Former BT building Delta Point became Gotham City Hospital, with Christian Bale abseiling down the side. Alongside London's own Gary Oldman in The Dark Knight Rises.
So you were gone. The Batman wasn't needed anymore.
It was exactly here in Overton's Yard where another London actor stood, Idris Elba, when that building blew up.
Hey, where's your backup?
There is no backup.
In action comedy Heads of State.
Yeah.
And All of Us Strangers, starring Andrew Scott and Paul Mescal, had scenes shot in Purley Downs Road in South Croydon. Dis Authority is a fast-growing post-production company that started in a shed.
I haven't had the chance to familiarise myself.
They've just produced their own feature film.
Croydon has the facade of being a bigger city. It's got all these huge offices that look like residences, and you can sort of scale up and you can look large. There have been multiple sort of Hollywood films that have shot down the main street because it looks like New York, and you're like, fair enough, I guess it does. Croydon, it's got its issues. It's figuring itself out, but the bigger sort of identity it has, it's sort of scrappy. It sort of gets things done. It's a bit sort of edgy and hardcore.
Their film Sticks and Stones was shot at a military base in Croydon, and it's being edited now. Where do you go from here?
I think from here we're going to grow the team. So once we end up expanding to Farringdon, that means the colour suite and the colorists as a result will probably move over to there to be more centralised, giving us more space here to hire in more VFX artists and make sure that we build out the team in-house to keep being the little powerhouse in Croydon when it comes to VFX.
The Whitgift shopping centre, with its 70s style and lull before major regeneration, has brought the stars to South London. Taylor Swift shot her music video to song Opalite there, making its escalators probably the most famous in the world. What do the locals make of it all?
It's good for the young people to see what they can aspire to. So yeah, it's cool.
Croydon is a very diverse community, and to have people like that come in here can only help and also support our youths.
It might give Croydon a little better press, perhaps, and maybe more popularity.
Croydonites know there's something about their vibrant community. Seems the rest of the world is finally catching up. Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
Swifties will be flocking to that escalators. Now, I don't want you to faint. Stand by, because we could be in for a couple of dry and sunny days. Here's Nina Ridge.
Today was once again pretty grey and drizzly. We had signs of spring just starting to come through from our weather watchers, and they will be helped over the next couple of days as we lose the cloud and start to pick up a little more sunshine. Certainly for tomorrow morning, we got all of that cloud with us. We could have some patchy light rain and drizzle, but by the afternoon, we'll have to start to see some sunshine developing its way through. So as we go through tonight, we keep that cloud. Some patchy light rain and drizzle is possible. As we head in towards the early hours, temperatures holding up. A fairly mild start to tomorrow morning. We're looking at 10 degrees for most of us first thing tomorrow morning. But it's rather grey and overcast still tomorrow morning. We could have some damp and drizzly weather first thing, but then into the afternoon we'll start to see that cloud base lifting, some brighter spells developing and some sunshine on offer. Should feel pretty mild as well, with a light southwesterly wind and temperatures reaching around about 13 to 14 degrees. So certainly up on what we've had through the day today. But we'll keep the clear skies and light winds then for tomorrow evening and as we head in towards Wednesday morning. That does mean some mist and fog could have formed first thing in the morning, with temperatures a little lower, a slightly chillier start on Wednesday morning at around about 7 degrees. Well, we have seen some mist and fog forming that will just clear during the morning, and into the afternoon we'll have some sunshine. With that sunshine helping to lift the temperatures, a southerly wind drawing up some very mild air through Wednesday, with temperatures reaching 15 to maybe 16 degrees. But after a couple of days of sunny spells, all change once again as we look to Thursday's forecast. Low pressure is set to return, so cloud and rain back in the forecast through the day on Wednesday. That should move its way through for the end of the week, but there is some uncertainty as to quite how that low pressure system will move its way eastwards by the end of the week. But for the moment, the forecast picking up with some sunshine throughout tomorrow afternoon. The brighter skies and the mild weather will last into Wednesday. As we see that low pressure system moving through for the end of the week, just brings those temperatures back down closer to average with highs of 12.
Yes, we did hear sunshine. Enjoy it. Before we go, a quick reminder of the main headline that broke just after 5 p.m. The former senior British minister and ambassador to the US, Peter Mandelson, has been arrested at his home in London. Police are investigating him on suspicion of misconduct in public office over his links with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. You can, of course, follow all the latest developments on the BBC News website or via the BBC News app. That's where we leave you, so thanks very much for watching. If you want to see something vibrant and uplifting, check out our Instagram for pictures of celebrations of Chinese New Year at the weekend as the Year of the Horse galloped into London. Also there, check out this, how the first ever YouTube video will be displayed at the V&A Museum. Yes, we're already at museum stage. From all of us on the team, have a lovely evening. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.